गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, King Chitraketu's Lamentation, Text 4. There are a few texts before this that do not have a purport, so we'll read that so there is continuity. I'll read it when we read the translations. Prayo mumukshvastesham kechaneva dvijottama mumukshunam sahasreshu कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति। प्रायो मुमुक्षवस्तेषां केचनैव द्विजोत्तमा मुमुक्षूणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति। In the mumukshunam, the na is a stronger one, not the na. Na. Like Krishna is the N with the dot. Okay, go ahead. Prayo mumukshvastesham kechana kechanaiva dvijottama mumukshunam sahasreshu कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति प्रायो मुमुक्षवस्तेषाम् केचनैव द्विजोत्तमा मुमुक्षूणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति लेडीज प्लीज प्रायो मुमुक्षवस्तेषाम् केचनैव द्विजोत्तमा मुमुक्षूणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति प्रायो मुमुक्षवस्तेषाम् केचनैव द्विजोत्तमा मुमुक्षूणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिन्मुच्येत सिद्ध्यति प्रायः almost always mumukshavaha persons interested in liberation tesham of them kechana some eva indeed dvija uttama o best of the brahmanas mumukshunam of those who desire to be liberated sahasreshu in many thousands kaschit someone muchyeta may be actually liberated siddhyati someone is perfect. So I'm going to come to this translation from the previous words. Excuse me. So yesterday, Parikshit Maharaj asked, O learned Brahmana, demons are generally sinful, being obsessed with the modes of passion and ignorance. How then could Vritrasura have attained such exalted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana? He is wondering. Text 2. Demigods situated in the mode of goodness and great saints cleansed of the dirt of material enjoyment hardly ever render pure devotional service at the lotus feet of Mukunda. Therefore, how could Vritrasura have become such a great devotee? Text 3. In this material world, there are as many living entities as atoms. Among these living entities, very few are human beings, and among them, few are interested in following religious principles. And then today's verse, O best to the Brahmanas, Shukadev Goswami, out of many persons who follow religious principles, only a few desire liberation from the material world. Among many thousands who desire liberation, one may actually achieve liberation, giving up material attachment to society, friendship, love, country, home, wife, and children. And among many thousands of such liberated persons, one who can understand the true meaning of liberation is very rare. Purport. There are four classes of men, namely karmis, jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas. This statement pertains especially to karmis and jnanis. A karmi tries to be happy within this material world by changing from one body to another. His objective is bodily comfort, either in this planet or in another. When such a person becomes a jnani, however, he aspires for liberation from material bondage. Among many such persons who aspire for liberation, one may actually be liberated during his life. Such a person gives up his attachment for society, friendship, love, country, family, wife, and children. Among many such persons who are in the vanaprastha stage, one may understand the value of becoming a sannyasi, completely accepting the renounced order of life. And the next verse, Muktanam api siddhanam kotishvapi mahatmane narayana parayana, is a very, very important verse. Very important verse in this chapter because it talks about the position of a pure devotee, which I'm not going to cover today. That's for tomorrow, whoever does class. So now, let's just look at the uh, hierarchy, if you will. The demigods, the 33 million of them, and the other millions of sages. They have dedicated their lives, previous lives and current life, in becoming pure. They're trying. And they're very, very pious. When we say piety, even material piety, in this modern context, we don't see anyone pious. So we don't know what it means. And a little piety, we think, wow, this is pretty cool. But these persons who have become demigods, we can't imagine what kind of piety they must have performed to get such an exalted birth in the heavenly realms. Um, for example, to be a grahastha in the Vedic model is not a joke. It is considered very, very difficult. In fact, it is so difficult. That is why in the grahastha ashram it says that the senses get properly controlled because one is engaged in Krishna's service like anything. Even if one has the tendency to veer from the road. From the morning, take an early bath, chant all these mantras, purify oneself, worship the deity. Then the wife cooks bhoga for the deity. After all the mantras are chanted, the abhishek is done, the deities are dressed, the aratik is done. And the first thing that the grahastha does after that is, guess what? After the bhoga is done, prasadam is ready. Very good, that's right. So there was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who got married. And he wanted to ask Srila Prabhupada what is his duty. So he was expecting Srila Prabhupada to give him some nice instruction, such as go out and preach, right? We all like to get that instruction. So he went to Srila Prabhupada and he said, now that I'm married, what is my duty? And Prabhupada said, you worship the deity very nicely, your wife cooks for the deity very nicely, you offer bhoga, and then when prasadam is done, you stand outside the door and you say, is anyone hungry here? You're welcome to have and eat. Come and eat. Say it 3 times. I said, yeah, okay. I thought there should be more. So he asked Prabhupada again, in case Prabhupada didn't understand the question. Now that I'm a householder, what is my duty? And Prabhupada said, you worship the deity nicely, let your wife cook for the deity and offer bhoga, then you stand outside and you invite, is anyone hungry here? They may please come. Say it 3 times. I said, oh man. They waited for some time and thought I'll catch Prabhupada in a good mood. And then he'll give me a nice instruction. So Prabhupada, now that I'm married, what is my duty? Prabhupada said, you worship the deity nicely, you ask your wife to cook and offer, you stand outside and you invite anyone hungry here, please come and eat. So if done properly, of course we don't follow like that anymore, but if done properly, the first meal the grahastha can get is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No breakfast, nothing, constantly serving the deities and then offering puja and offering charity and then lunch or breakfast, whatever it's called at that day part of the day, or breakfast and lunch together, uh, brunch at 1 p.m. So it's not easy. These are called persons who are human beings who want to follow religious principles. And Parikshit Maharaj is wondering that even the demigods and the great sages who have sat in meditation for thousands and thousands and thousands of years trying to purify themselves, they are unable to offer pure devotional service to Krishna because it's not achievable, it's not easy. and it's very rare. Then there are these personalities who are the rare species of human beings. I like to say we are all born into the human species. Only few of us are actually human beings. Human being means one who follows proper religious principles. And he says, and that's difficult. We see, right? It's so difficult to follow religious principles. Our religious principles or practice of them are being constantly challenged. In Kali Yuga, our religious principles are challenged by falsity, hypocrisy, and yeah, falsity, constantly challenging us. Someone who wants to live truthfully, falsity is very strong. The circumstances force us to think of, okay, if I just say one white lie and just move on, or hypocrisy. Oh, applies for others, not for me, etc. These things they challenge us. So to follow religious principles, let's say to be truthful all the time, very difficult. And therefore, we have stories of King Harishchandra, who, to whatever degree he was tested, he never budged from the truth. And so those there, such persons are also there, and they're very rare. And among them, someone may actually want to become liberated. That's very rare too. And among those who are liberated, very, very rare to find someone who actually understands the meaning of what is liberation. And in the next verse, he's going to say, and among them, very rare is the pure devotee of Krishna. So, how rare? Very rare. We don't see pure devotees. It's not just we don't see them currently, we just don't see them in history. I mean, it's rare to see such souls. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have access not just to him, but many such pure souls who have lived their life committed to Krishna consciousness, and we have their association. So sometimes we don't understand the value of that. Just as the Aborigines who live inside a sandalwood forest do not understand the value of sandalwood, that a person who's somewhere else in the world can say, oh, very rare. Sandalwood, very, very rare to find. But those who are living inside the forest of sandalwood, for them, wherever they look, sandalwood. So what's the big deal? They use it they use it as firewood. Chop, chop, firewood. And what are they cooking? What are aborigines cooking? Some animal. And using what as fuel? Fragrant sandalwood. We rarely to find a stick of sandalwood for the deities. You have to call someone in India, make sure it's the right quality, get a little bit expensive, bring it every morning, grind sandalwood for the deity. And the Aborigines are cooking some disgusting animal, right? But they don't care because it's there. We are also in the association of devotees, and we are casual. Devotees, the same fellows. I see them every day. They're very rare, very, very rare. Anyone who's wanting to engage in sadhana bhakti is very rare and very valuable. So there are, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the progression of consciousness from, of course, Vikarmi is not even progressive, but there is Vikarmis. Vikarmis means those who don't care for Vedic religious principles, and they're just out there to just violate every religious principle that is there. Because they live their life according to convenience. Religious principles are meant to help us overcome this tendency to live life conveniently. So then there are the karmis, who are sometimes called sakama karmas, or their activities are called sakama karma because they have some material desire. A little advanced is nishkama karma, and some are karma yogis. As soon as they understand Vishnu, and that my offering is for Vishnu, the yoga aspect begins. And there's karma yogi, jnana yogi, dhyana yogi, and bhakti yogi. So I heard something very nice recently. I want to share. We hear in the Bhagavad Gita introduction that where Prabhupada defines dharma. Dharma means that intrinsic quality, that original nature of something. So, the dharma of sugar is sweetness, water is liquidity, etc. And when these are in their natural states, we say that they are pure or they're in their original state. So, the dharma for the body is karma. Dharma for the body is karma, is because by karmic activity, karmic means according to religious principles, by the way, one cleanses one's body, one's senses become purified. The dharma for the mind is jnana. By knowledge, one's mind becomes purified. Because within the mind are the conceptions of life, or what I like to call as biases. We come to Krishna consciousness with many biases, gender bias, uh, religious teachings, the bias of different kinds of religious teachings, cultural biases, ideological biases, etc. We come. And knowledge from scripture slowly removes those biases and establishes the right principles. Then the intelligence is purified by dhyana, by meditation. Because then one can distinguish matter and spirit properly. And the dharma for the soul is bhakti. So wherever one is, to that degree they are purified. So karma yogi is purified in the sense that his senses are purified or being purified. A jnana yogi's mind and senses are purified. A dhyana yogi's intelligence, mind and senses are purified. Only a devotee is where the soul is also, or the consciousness is completely purified. Until then, one may be a very advanced person in the sense of dhyana. They can keep their mind focused on something. But still, the knowledge of Bhagavan and bhakti and relationships with Krishna, they're still hazy. They're not fully available to that person. Only when one is a devotee does everything else manifest. So we find there are some very great thinkers who come up with different postulates and theories and popular philosophies. Yet, it's only the mind. The intelligence is also not fully purified. What is the intelligence? That we are not this body. It's not clear. Prabhupada often quotes Professor Katowski. He is a professor of Indology, very learned man. And he says, Swamiji, after death, nothing is there. Everything is finished at death. And Prabhupada told him, what kind of professor are you? That after death, everything is finished. What is this? What about the soul? Oh, what's this? Or Cardinal Danielou in France. He was debating with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked him, why do you kill? Your commandment says, thou shalt not kill. Why do you kill? And then he said, well, there is a difference between human beings and animals. And so we can kill animals because animals do not have developed consciousness. And Prabhupada said, when children are born, Babies also don't have developed consciousness. Do you kill your babies? And then Prabhupada was very tough with him, and so he kind of tried to wiggle his way out. And Prabhupada, you seen the video? You seen the body language of that video? This person is very, like a high position personality. He's sitting at the edge of his seat. And if you see the video, he's uncomfortable. He keeps moving and he's unsettled. You seen Prabhupada? He's sitting relaxed in his chair, one leg over leg. So why do you kill? So relaxed. You see the body line. This Cardinal Daniel is trying to answer the question, and Prabhupada slowly cornering him because he doesn't have an answer. Someone is low in consciousness. And Prabhupada says, so are babies. Do we kill your babies? Would you eat your babies because they're low in consciousness? What is this? So it doesn't matter. One may be advanced in knowledge, one may be advanced in the ability to control the mind and senses, yet without the knowledge of bhakti, the soul isn't purely awakened. And so naturally, Parikshit Maharaj's question makes perfect sense. Now you please tell me, how is it possible that so many sages, thinkers, demigods, they are not devotees. But this person in the body of a demon is a devotee. Well, what is this? And we're going to hear that one's birth and one's previous piety have no relevance for bhakti to manifest. Whoever receives the mercy of a devotee can become a devotee. It does not matter what kind of species, what kind of body, what kind of country, what kind of uh, high, low, medium, extra low, extra low consciousness one may have. When the mercy of a devotee touches that person, a person can become the topmost entity in all of creation. So there are many such examples. Of course, Vritrasura is one. We see Narada Muni's mercy descend to some persons who are in the demoniac families. Example, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Mrigari the hunter, Ratnakar the dacoit, Nalakuvara and Manigriva. Doesn't matter who the person is. Once they receive or they get the touch of a pure devotee, their life changes. In fact, the life changes in such a way that they immediately surpass all the great saviors. They immediately surpass all the pre-qualification and prerequisites that are necessary to become advanced in life. There's a verse in the third canto. Actually, it comes in the sixth canto earlier. Aho bato shvapacho gariyan jivhagre vartate namatubhyam. That, oh, how glorious is the holy name of Krishna, that once it is chanted by someone, even if they are from the family of dog eaters, they have considered to have bathed in all the holy rivers. They are considered to have performed all the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. They have considered to surpass all the qualifications of a good birth just by chanting Jivagre. Jiva means the tongue. Agre, at the tip of the tongue, is the name. Vartate namatubhyam. This is the potency of chanting Krishna's holy name. We have been reading Nectar of Devotion. In Nectar of Devotion, it describes that the honor of putting on tilak, markings all over the body, is a very special honor. And in a place called Mayuradhwaja, even the Chandalas, those who are dog eaters, that means they are lower than, in fact, they're not even considered human beings. They're the fifth category. Generally, human beings fall into four in terms of quality and occupation. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The Chand fifth category, like they don't fit in society. Even the Chandalas, when they become Vaishnavas and they put on tilak, they're supposed to surpass even the great Brahmanas. It says how beautiful they look with the tilak markings on their bodies. It's an honor to carry Vishnu's mark on the forehead and Vishnu's name on the tongue. It's a great honor and a great purifying potency within that. So this whole section that he's going to ask about, Parikshit Maharaj is opening the discussion for glorifying the mercy of a devotee and the process of pure devotional service. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadam. And that's our guiding principle. That when we receive the mercy of a devotee, Krishna's mercy follows along. It naturally comes. In the Madhurya Kadambini, which by the way is a very good book to read and understand, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has analyzed how bhakti begins, what are some of the obstacles on the path of pure devotional service, how these anarthas can be removed, how these anarthas manifest, etc., etc. And in that he describes that Krishna has expressed to the Madhyamadikari, I am your property, you can give me to anyone you like. And once you contact them, I will, whatever you say, I will do. Therefore, the devotees of Krishna, especially the pure ones, not like we're making a distinction, even the young devotees, they're called Satya Sankalpa. Once they utter something, it happens. Whatever they say, it happens. Because Krishna is very eager to fulfill it. So we seek the blessings of devotees because once they say, oh, don't worry, it'll be all right. It will be all right. Even if it was not supposed to be all right, Krishna will set it all right. That is the power of a devotee's words. Okay, comments, questions. Well, we have some guests here this morning. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you for a wonderful class. So, I have a couple questions. You mentioned about falsity, etc. So, I'm not sure if you heard this story where one of Bhaktisiddhanta's disciples, there was a decision he had to make between going to a very important Krishna conscious festival or skipping work. So he decided to skip the festival and go to work. So Bhaktisiddhanta told him, you should tell some, lie to get out of this, particular job, just for this important festival, because this, festival kind of supersedes that. Of course, you can't lie all the time; you lose your job, obviously.
For the devotees, that example is so encouraging.
So, would you like to speak briefly about that, or like Niyamagraha, maybe?
Mhm. Um, Even Sanatana Goswami did so.
And I think this devotee kind of left the moment. Then they had to go get him back, and he had to be explained that why this, took place. Why I think Bhaktisiddhanta explained to him, why he, said skip your job or something.
Yeah, I don't
Something
know
like
the story. But Sanatan Goswami also sent in a I'm working from home note to his boss, the Nawab, and said that I'm not well. And at home, he had collected all the Brahmanas and they were discussing Bhagvatam. And the Nawab came to know. He was very upset. So, first, if you have the realization of Sanatan Goswami, then in some rare circumstance, one may. But it's not an excuse that that is how we live our life. We are supposed to live according to Dharma, which is truthfulness. Um, Now, when we say truthfulness, one of the pillars, I gave a seminar for 5 days on the four regulative principles. So it's not something that can be spoken in one or two sentences, but let's say truthfulness. When we say, uh, I take the vow of no gambling, right? So, at a very, very superficial level, no gambling is something that's very direct and obvious. I will not go to the casino, not buy a lottery ticket, these kinds of things, which is proper. A little below that level, layer, no gambling also means that I don't make decisions about my life without any consultation with sadhu and scripture and guru. Because when I make a decision, I'm gambling because I have no idea what the outcome will look like. And I haven't considered everything in terms of Krishna's instructions. Go deeper. Truthfulness means I will always abide by living on the Sat platform because everything else is Asat. Now, that is where the challenge begins. Like, what is Sat? How do I always try to live and act on the platform of the soul? We are driven by bodily concept of life. But we make a vow. I will live on the platform of Sat. So we practice in our lives every day to inch closer to that truth, that level of life. So in one sense, Sat platform means Bhagavatam and so-called occupational is Asat. One could say it that way, but one should have that realization. Otherwise, one uses religious principles like it's their little toolbox and they can throw out a few things here and there and say it's in the name of it's all right. No, it's a risk. Without whenever we do something without the proper realization behind it, there is a risk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
It kind of goes along with your last point that if we don't do anything without the proper realization, then there's a risk. So this brings up my next question that in chapter 17, verse 15, it talks about austerity of speech, and in that purport, Prabhupada mentions that, a teacher could speak for the discipline of his disciple, but he should never, try to instruct someone who's not his disciple. It's only if he'll disturb their mind. So this brings up the subject of like Cardinal, what was
Daniel.
that? Yeah, Cardinal Daniel and Prabhupada. So some people may see Prabhupada, I don't know if he's disturbing. Usually he could transform people's heart. When he criticizes, he's a pure devotee. He has realization. He turns so many people's hearts. But for us, when we're associating with our family and friends, we may be proud, have a tendency to be proud, and we superimpose the principles we accept on them, and then we wind up not doing too well in Krishna consciousness because in retrospect, we're thinking, oh, we're proud, and then we may ruin all our other relationships. So, can you speak briefly about that?
Sure. Before that, can you speak to them about Diwali and festival coming up? The sadhu is meant to carry the sword of knowledge, and once in a while they have to cut the knot of attachment. We also like this one very much. But the idea is such a sadhu is meant to disturb the normal course of life because a person can be in his normal course of life heading towards the cliff. So, Manishina is a person who's thoughtful and he intervenes. Even if a person's mind is disturbed, intervenes. Um, but in general, the purport is in general, those who don't have that mission of life, or those who haven't been given that mission of life, should be a little careful and tactful in how to do it. It requires certain expertise. Like Narada Muni, this is often given, that Narada Muni, when he met Mrigari, he didn't tell him, stop killing, because it would be too difficult for him to disturb. He said, don't have kill completely. I mean, coming from the words of a sadhu, kill the animal completely. What? Yes, just kill it. Don't have kill them. Don't see, because he used to enjoy seeing them, suffering and struggling to live, and that was his enjoyment. They said, no, kill them. He didn't say, don't kill them. So that needs expertise, because one has the sword of knowledge, anudhyasina. One should know how to use it. If we don't know how to wield the sword properly, instead of someone else, we'll have so many bruises and cuts on ourselves. Like, whoa, we have a sharp knife, we don't know how to do it. And we have bandages all over the fingers because we cut ourselves. So it requires proper realization and tact. Until then, don't disturb anyone. In that, don't instruct, don't take the position of guru. One can take the position of friend and instruct, but not guru. Although the instruction is to qualify ourselves to become guru. Because Lord Chaitanya gave that order, right? Hamara kya guru haya, tara edesh. So we have to qualify ourselves. Yeah, Terence. Same point, Luke, or different? Same point. Follow up.
Hare Krishna. On Baladev Prabhu's question, I just was thinking of that section in the Gita and Prabhupada in the purport there, where that verse comes that one should not disturb the minds of the ignorant. Prabhupada explains that Krishna, due to his position as the Supreme Lord, he must remain impartial. But the devotee, knowing the purpose of the Lord, is more merciful than the Lord. So also I've heard many devotees have pointed out that anyway, it's not like our instructions or our encouragement to take the Krishna consciousness would create disturbance where there is not disturbance.
Right.
They're already disturbed. And also, specifically in the context, I've heard that is referring to persons who are properly engaged in varnashram dharma. They're executing some prescribed duty. So to disturb them could derail them from a progressive spiritual path. Whereas currently, we don't see people in that situation. They're engaged in sinful activity. Right. So it's a different context.
To me, the word disturb the mind, specifically in that context, means that don't do something that further discourages them. Do something that encourages them to leave or drop those activities and try to come towards the path of Krishna consciousness. Because discouraging someone or something creates further disturbance. They're already disturbed. You add more disturbance to it, encourage them. Then they're willing to move. And how to encourage, etc., is proper. For example, the other day someone walked in with their shoes on. They did not know. And if we pounce on the person saying, such a big offense you have committed, Jai Jagan, yeah, I remember he also said he walked in and someone pounced on him. Versus, excuse me, yeah, thank you for visiting us. If you don't mind, can you leave your shoe? Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, sure, sure. However, it's just encouraging. Things like that. Okay. Terence? Hare Krishna.
Thank you for class, Prabhu. You spoke about Dharma and truthfulness. I have a 2-point question with that. Sometimes the truth can hurt, like the truth about ourselves, more in relationship to where we're at. And you also brought up the point that one can access that mercy with the association of a pure devotee who gives him, some mercy. My question in relationship to that is, could one possibly have a level of commitment to what their purpose is, and anarthas or unwanted things may be a hindrance in that, but that person being honest with where they're at and wanting to make improvements to advance. Does Krishna sometimes work on that person as well, more or less as a medium? Not saying he's going directly towards Krishna himself without guidance, but can he work on that person as a way to inspire him from the heart to try to make, you know changes and to improve and to become more open, to have more access to that mercy?
Yes, but it depends on what the person is sincere about, and Krishna will inspire accordingly. Even if there are obstacles, Krishna from within will inspire according to one's desire. So if I want, my desire is to be a good person, Krishna will inspire me to be a good person. I may miss out on being a devotee, but I can be a good person. And my sense of good is, the worldly moralistic lifestyle. I may want to be a truthful person. Krishna will inspire. But sometimes Krishna will challenge that. Because to be a devotee, real truthfulness is not that I never speak a lie. Real truthful means I do what Krishna asked me to do. Sometimes those things get directly in conflict with moralistic principles. Like Arjuna was told, kill the army on the other side. Now that's against moralism because non-violence is such an important principle. And even Arjuna says, why are you engaging me in this very non-religious activity of fighting and killing my family members? Okay, my family can be real bozos, but this family, they're all great kshatriyas. They're almost like sages. And Krishna said, do it anyway. And the sharp moralist will have a heart attack. But that's what was needed. And Arjuna is considered truthful because he did what Krishna asked him to do. Of course, the Guru doesn't say go cheat and lie and all that. That's not the point here. You get the idea? So, yes, but it's a qualified yes. Depends on what the person is sincere for. If you're sincere about Krishna consciousness, then against all anarthas and obstacles, Krishna will continue to guide, either directly, through the devotees, through scripture, etc. Okay? Make sense? Is that a yes? Okay. So truth hurts. That is true. But truth spoken uh, compassionately doesn't hurt. It may hurt, but truth spoken without the compassion hurts even more. And falsity hurts even so more. What would you rather have? Someone saying truthfully or false? Because feeling cheated is worse than someone telling us, hey, that's not okay. That may hurt, but it's beneficial.
In relationship to being truthful with yourself,
Yeah.
not necessarily the instruction that you're given, but there's an artist or there's unwanted things that you are trying to, let's say, alleviate or eliminate because it may be a hindrance or a block. So my question was more in regards to a point Jagannath he always brings up in his classes, that Krishna, he doesn't want what you give him, he wants what's behind your back.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe the things that are behind our backs, once we get to a certain point where we're ready to give those things up, is when we're able to access a higher level of mercy. And so my question was more in relationship to that point, is that when we ourselves make that decision and that effort, and that our desires are in accordance with Dharma and practicing religious principles, that Krishna, no matter what our circumstances are, he will either give us someone who we can take shelter of, or internally he will start to help us to get rid of these unwanted things.
Yeah, my answer still stands. The only edit I'd make is in your statement. It's not that Krishna sends us someone that we can take shelter of, or why not both? Krishna can do both. In fact, he does. In fact, he does all of the above. He sends us scripture, he sends us the devotees, sends us spiritual master. He guides from within the heart. He orchestrates situations in our lives that we can turn towards those resources and many such things. All of the above. Yeah? Jitendra Prabhu, you had something? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
Ask one quick about the dharma of the body and the dharma for the body needs karma yoga, right? It's karma yoga, jnana yoga.
Karma, yoga, yes, for the body.
Yeah, I mean there is yoga, there is Krishna is there, right? Okay, and about this, yes, right. I didn't see the Sanskrit word. Means like the affection to the body of the others.
Looking for love in this material world.
But there is no love in Krishna,
Well, there is. It's just it's not there in the sense because the sense of Krishna's presence is not there, and so our love is primarily directed to another body in the sense of I and mine. But if do you feel love from the devotees? Are you in the material world? There's love? Yeah. But depends. It means that there's the proper perception is there. Love on the spiritual platform. On the material platform, it's a perverted reflection.
It's lust.
Yeah, it's a perverted reflection. Lust of different degrees. Yeah. So this is that.
So it means about the, but it's here it's written about the family life.
Yeah,
and
but
the
here,
friends, family,
so
society.
here it's written, Mumukshunam means those who desire to be liberated. Many thousands who desire liberation one may actually achieve liberation, giving up material attachment. Because liberation means to go beyond those things that hold one back in the material world. What are those things? Society, friendship, love.
Yeah, but you don't need to give up love with the devotees, right?
No, that is not the material.
Yeah, this is about the family and society. Yeah, but why should Prabhupada calls it love, not affection? Why he's calling it love? Love.
Why is he calling love?
Yeah, when it's not probably just for us to understand it, because philosophically there is no love.
For the devotees. He's talking
for the
within the material world. Those who want to become liberated, they give up those things. So that's why people take sannyas.
Yeah.
That's the purport Prabhupada saying. Such a person, a vanaprasthi, will take sannyas. Sannyas means you just cut all relationships. Nothing. From family, from society. Because sannyasi is not supposed to belong to any country. He cuts all his relationship with his family, cuts relationships with everything. Walks away. Because they're desiring liberation. motorcycle?